Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm ARTWITHKODA, and now that we're in November, we are going to receive the home release of Steven Universe the movie, releasing November 12th. What's so special about this release, you may ask? It's not even in HD. Well, I'll tell you what. Bonus features. While it appears we won't get deleted scenes this time around, at least not by themselves, the bonus features on this DVD will feature song animatics, the hour-long making of Steven Universe the movie documentary, and something that blew my mind and that I just need all of it right now is a special look at Rebecca Sugar pitching the third act of Steven Universe the movie. In fact, a sneak peek was released online of this set pitch, and it revealed an entire alternate scene for the moment when Steven gets his powers back. So let's run through this alternate scene and break down exactly why it was changed, because everything in this is different. The storyboarding, the dialogue, Steven's motivation, it's actually kind of wild. And spoiler warning in case you don't want to know anything more about the DVD and its features until you actually get your hands on it. If that's the case, I advise clicking off now. With all that said, let's dive in. I feel as if the best place to start this is, well, the process of a storyboard pitch itself, as I feel as if it's just important context to have. When working in animation, your personality is going to shine through everything, whether if you like it or not. Because if you happen to be a storyboarder, then it's only natural that you're going to be a part of a storyboard pitch. We already broke down in our video discussing on if Steven Universe Future would be considered rushed, that the outline of every episode has to be approved by higher-ups. But what's after that process? Kind of already gave it away. It's storyboarding. But what happens when the storyboards for an episode are done? Well, it's time to round up your old crew for a pitch, y'all. Anyways, at a storyboard pitch, a show's team pretty much sees how an episode would play out, which I believe usually either the showrunner themselves or the actual storyboarders will be the one pitching, going through every scene, every board, completely in character, seeing how well an episode will flow. Afterwards, I imagine they get notes and sent back to the lab to finish everything up. Since Steven Universe the movie was a musical, directed by Sugar, with each song written by her in some capacity, she was responsible for pitching the entire film, every single act. I can only imagine how draining that can be. Guys, seriously, animation's a miracle. If you work in animation or know someone who works in animation, give them or yourselves a high five. But this brings us to the third act pitch of the film and the sneak peek we were provided, picking up after True Kinda Love and at the tail end of the scene where Spinel is planning to murder Steven, dangling him over the end of the injector, although in this version she's using 2 hands instead of 1. After Steven's emotional breakdown over the loss of his powers, we pick up with Spinel taunting him. Although in this draft, there's a much bigger focus on Spinel as she belittles Steven. Aside from some slightly different dialogue, this is pretty identical to the original film. Makes sense. With things like storyboard-driven animation, the dialogue is crafted by the storyboarders themselves. So consistently refining the dialogue to flow as much as possible is an inevitability. However, the major change with this scene occurs as Spinel thinks aloud, who would ever believe that a winner like that started out as a loser like you? This gives Steven an epiphany that differs from the final version. Instead of realizing that he was able to adapt and change over the years, in this draft he realizes that he was believing in himself. Despite all the times he messed up or didn't see mutual confidence in the other crystal gems, he still never gave up hope that he can come out on top. That's right, folks. Steven's original missing piece wasn't the concept that he could change, but the concept that also serves as the show's slogan, believe in Steven. And it's Steven's belief in himself that causes his powers to be fully restored, ready to take on and appease Spinel with an outlook that he's forgotten, that as long as he believes, he can overcome anything. The restoration of Steven's powers being complete with his life flashing before his eyes, achieving his own regeneration of sorts, like with Amethyst Pearl and Garnet shuffling through all their reformations. Steven having a very special, heartwarming reformation of his own. And yeah, this is great, I feel empowered and inspired, but why the hell would they ever even cut this? And I have answers to that question. For starters, it may have just been time constraints. I spoke about this before on the channel, but Steven Universe the movie is actually 10 minutes longer than what the network originally wanted. And after timing this to the best of my abilities, as it is a pitch so it's not going to run as fast as a regular episode, I think the dialogue in this draft does run over a little bit from the final version, and if they included Steven's life flashing before his eyes, it definitely would have eaten up just a teeny bit more screen time. But I also think that, for as good as the scene is, it ultimately didn't fit perfectly with the film. At least not as much as the theme of growth and change does. I mean, come on, this scene literally goes into the song Change. Wouldn't it be awkward if Steven sung about how much he believed in himself and then sung about changing? About how much he's changed? Granted, Sugar did remark that Change was the final song that they wrote for the film. So perhaps writing Change came after the original draft of the scene, I'm not really sure, but at the same time, I personally would imagine the songs were taken care of first. But beyond that, Steven's mission throughout this entire film is trying to restore the image of his happily ever after. Despite fighting for change throughout the entire series, here he wants things to remain the same. He's gotten comfortable with nothing changing, and that's not true to life. And while he's not responsible for Spinel's emotional well-being, a point of her downward spiral in the third act is, well, Steven really did just want her to turn off the injector. I personally wouldn't say he's in the wrong for that, like, at all. But his consistent dismissal of Spinel throughout the film leading up to that point is really rough to watch. But Steven's own refusal of change is why he's so dismissive to Spinel. She's not a part of his vision for happily ever after. Steven and Spinel's respective body language in this song Found is reflective of this as well. So with all that in mind, believe in Steven being the final piece. It's amazing, and this original draft left me breathtaking, but I 100% see why it was altered. Maybe a cooler scene, but I wouldn't say it's a thematically superior scene. And yes, while I saw people argue that Steven didn't really change throughout the series, so that conclusion doesn't really make much sense, can we refer to the lyrics of Familiar again, or Steven's dialogue at the end of that episode entirely?
Remember back when I was little and maybe kind of annoying and I couldn't come along on adventures?
Steven's growth and change is instrumental to the series. While he is an initially caring and kind person, whom he's caring to is kind of kept in a bubble for a while. He's definitely not compassionate towards the corrupted gems until Pearl informs him that, hey, they used to be just like us. And it was really that information, alongside the entire incident with Lapis, that really caused Steven's compassion to expand to other horizons. That caused him to grow. Throughout the series, Steven has also learned patience. I mean, look at the climax of Marble Madness. How he purposely put himself out there to talk to Peridot. He did not have that same energy in That Will Be All, where he and Greg had to sneak around Yellow and Blue Diamond. Higher stakes for sure, but both could have resulted in the annihilation of Earth, of everyone that Steven knows and loves. There are hundreds of more examples, but the point is, Steven did change throughout the series. He did grow through a substantial amount of growth, so the concept of change being the final piece fits a lot better with everything we saw throughout the movie than Steven coming to the conclusion that he needs to believe in himself. Granted, he does, but for what the film had to say, I think everything was, well, changed for all the better.
I don't get it.
But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? How did you feel about this original draft of the film? And after laying everything out, which one do you prefer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at ARTWITHKODA. We're also on Instagram. Special thanks to ARTWITHKODA for creating an awesome thumbnail. For more of his wonderful art, you can find him on Tumblr and Instagram at ARTWITHKODA, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Link down below in the description. Help the Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. ARTWITHKODA signing out.